This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review, and what I'm looking at today is the 2019 reboot of Stephen King's Pet Sematary, and this movie irritates me, which is odd because it's a great looking movie. It's well shot, and the directors, Widmyer and Kevin Kölsch, really know how to do scary movies. Check out Starry Eyes. It came out in 2014 and it was directed by Widmyer and Kölsch, and it is a really good horror movie. It's very evocative of a particular time. And the thing is, unlike, let's say, Netflix's Stranger Things, it's not fetishistic about it. The feel of Starry Eyes, at least to me, evokes Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. It's just evocative of a time period without being hit over the head with it. It's a really good horror movie. In fact, Starry Eyes is so good, I don't rewatch it. Reason being, it occupies a certain place in my hierarchy of horror films, a pretty high place. And if I rewatch it, I'm going to start to poke holes, and I inevitably do. And it will be somewhat lesser than. It's on a pedestal right now, and I want to leave it there for a while. So I'm not going to rewatch Starry Eyes anytime soon. But it's a great movie. And to see these guys handle Pet Sematary should have been something much better than it actually is. So what's wrong with the reboot of Pet Sematary? Okay, there are a few issues. The first one is there's no reason for this movie to exist. If you've seen the 1989 version of Stephen King's Pet Sematary, directed by Mary Lambert, it's actually a better movie. It's not as well shot. It doesn't look as good. It's certainly not as well acted as the 2019 version. But my God, it's a much more effective, visceral movie. It just works better. And which is odd, because as I said, it's not a better movie in its production. It's not a better movie in its look, but it's just a more effective movie. It works better. And that's one reason. Namely, it was done just fine in 1989. Leave this property alone. Another reason is that there are changes in the 1989 reboot, but not enough changes to justify remaking it. And some of those changes aren't as effective as they were in the earlier version. It's pointless. I mean, for instance, if they're going to remake a Stephen King story, I wouldn't have done It. Well, maybe It, because the second part was so ridiculous. But the first part was just excellent. Not Pet Sematary. Now, I'd remake the Tommyknockers. I would remake the Langoliers. There are plenty of things that Stephen King has wrote that have been adapted into movies that aren't very good. Why not start with those? Why take things that have been, for the most part, really well done? It's just very odd to me. I know it's about money, and I know it's that Stephen King is very popular right now with it having done as well as it did. I get that, and was I think Castle Rock on Hulu. I understand it, but what I don't get, no, I do get it, it's greed. But at the same time, it bothers me that they spend time running in place when this man is such a prolific writer. I mean, if he doesn't publish a book every year, I'd be surprised, frankly. And so he's so prolific. Adapt some of their work. There are plenty of them. Stop remaking things that don't need to be remade. If it's a bad movie, then remake it. That makes perfect sense to me. Make it better. Unfortunately, with the reboot of Pet Sematary, there's nothing new offered. Now, that's not really fair. As I said earlier, there were changes, but there were changes oftentimes for the sake of changes, and less to, in my view at any rate, make this a better thing. It was just kind of pointless, and that's a pity, because as I also said earlier, those are two very talented directors. But this is something that just did not need to exist. Or if it did exist, don't take it to the pet cemetery. This is Brian with screenfiles.com and Review.